Welcome to this NCJW Cleveland chair yoga practice. Our theme today is going to be finding balance. So come to your chair. Hopefully you've set it up in a safe place. Mine is on a yoga mat so it won't slip. It has a firm bottom, no arms. Sit up tall, come halfway forward, helping you to sit up tall. Keeping your feet on the floor, toes pointing forward, knees over ankles. Lift your shoulders up and back. Engage the muscles of your abdomen so that you're sitting with a straight but not rigid back. Chin parallel to the floor. Slow your breath and bring your mind and body into this practice. This practice in the midst of much sadness in the world. For the next minutes, try to be completely present here. And if your mind wanders during the practice, bring it back, bring it back. Slow, steady breathing will help. Inhaling through your nose and filling your lungs, exhaling just as slowly. And to practice how we breathe, take your arms by your sides. Inhale slowly as you lift your arms and pause. Exhale just as slowly. And let's do two more, moving with your own breath, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And maybe one more. Bring your hands to your lap. Imagine a clock face in front of you, maybe this big. Point your nose to the 12 o'clock. On your next exhale, start to move your neck around your clock face using all of the muscles of our neck where we hold so much stress, moving slowly and with your breath, large or small circles up to you. Breathe. When you next come back to the 12 o'clock, stop on your next exhale, moving in the opposite direction, slow and steady. And come back to center. Inhale, look up, going as far as you need to feel a stretch in your neck. On your next exhale, look down, and then come back to center. Inhale, and on an exhale, look over one shoulder. Slow, steady breaths. With each inhale, imagine your spine getting long. With each exhale, relax into the twist. Slow and steady. Come back to center and come to the other side. And back to center. Hold on to one side and come to a crescent moon. Inhale and crescent moon in the other direction. Slow, steady breaths. And come back to center. Open your legs, come forward with a straight back. And maybe start to make some rib circles, slow and steady. And then come back up and come in the other direction. One more. Then come back up. Take your hands forward. Push your spine back and look down into cat and breathe. Inhale, and on your next exhale, come to cow. Lifting your gaze, bringing your arms back and breathe. And if this feels good in your body, moving with your breath between cat Cow, it doesn't matter if you're inhaling into one, doesn't matter which one, and then exhale into the other, whichever it is. Moving slowly in with your breath. And come back to a seated posture. Bring your feet together again. Make sure you're in seated mountain pose. Your back is straight. Open and close your hands. Move your wrists. Open your arms. Maybe moving from side to side with a straight back. Palms up, palms down. Come back to stillness. Give yourself a hug. Remember that the first rule of yoga is compassion and kindness towards self. And when you fill yourself up, then you can give some to the outside world. Bring your opposite hand on top. Slow, steady breaths. Open your arms, bring one arm across, feeling the stretch, holding it with your opposite arm. Only going as far as feels good. And breathe. Open to the other side, stretching the other shoulder. Bring your arms down. Lift one arm up and maybe come around, moving your whole body. Let's do it twice. And then start from the other side, moving with your breath. Only going as far as feels good in that shoulder. Making the circle very small, or not doing it at all if it doesn't feel right. Remember, yoga is never about pain. If I ask you to do something that doesn't feel right, you're modifying it. And breathe. Lift one leg and move it in the hip. Holding on underneath. Maybe coming all the way across and maybe not. Moving slowly. Put that foot down. Lifting the other one. Moving that leg in your hip joint. Moving slow and steady and breathing. And then put that leg down. Lift the first leg, maybe move your ankles and your toes, both directions. Sit up tall, maybe straightening your knee a little or a lot, and maybe not. Put that leg down. Pick up your opposite leg and again moving it from side to side. And then the ankle and the toes, both directions. Sit up tall, make sure your back is straight, and only if it feels good, straightening that knee a lot or little. And then bring that foot down. Take both feet forward. Maybe you're on your heels. Maybe you're putting your feet down, whatever feels better for you. Sit up tall, holding onto the chair, come forward with a straight back until you feel the stretch in your legs. Slow, steady breath. You may not have to go very far. Keep your knees straight unless they hurt. Inhale, back to seated posture. Keep one foot straight, cross your opposite foot by bending your knee. You can keep it on the ground. Take it to your ankle, maybe just below the knee, never on the knee. If you still need more to feel anything in that hip, bend your lower foot and bring the top foot above the knee. Sit up tall, and if you still need more, come forward, slow, steady breaths. Only enough to feel a stretch in that hip. And breathe. Slowly come back up. The opposite leg becomes straight. See what you need on this side. Only doing as much as you need. Only coming up here if that's the only place you feel any stretch in the hip. Otherwise, you're staying anywhere along that leg except the knee. And if you need slightly more, wherever you are, coming forward with a straight back, maybe even looking up a little. And breathe. And slowly come back up, coming back to seated mountain pose. Open your legs again. Sit up tall. On an exhale, come forward. This time using your hands, maybe twisting to one side. Slow, steady breaths, only going as far as feels good. Inhale back to center. Exhale, come in the other direction. Slow, steady breaths. And slowly come back up and come to the side of your chair. One buttock on, one off. Sit up tall, holding on to the front and back of the chair. Walk that front foot back, maybe as far as the knee is straight down, or maybe not going as far as it feels good in your body. Front foot is pointing forward, maybe lifting your outer arm and feeling the stretch through your whole spine. Slow, steady breath. Stay only as long as it feels good. Lower that hand, maybe take both hands to the back of the chair and look over your chair. Slow, steady breaths. Slowly coming out of that pose, come to the other side. Starting with both feet forward, one buttock on, one off. Sit up tall, walk that front leg back. Maybe lifting your outer arm and breathe. Lower that arm, maybe take it to the back of your chair and twist. Slowly come around, sitting back in mountain pose, and breathe slow, steady breaths. Take both hands up, lift one shoulder and then the other, reaching towards the sky. Then both arms up, turn your fists up, your hands up, and slowly lower. Take your hands to the back of the chair and come forward. Come back up to seated. Lift one shoulder and then the other. And let's do some shoulder curls. I like to go front to back, the opposite of the way we sit over devices. Hands back on your lap, take one ear towards the shoulder on that side and breathe. Back to neutral, opposite side. Come back to center. Cross your fingers the opposite way. Push forward, up, and let your arms come down. And we're getting ready to stand up. So start with your feet forward. If you need to hold on to the chair, then you're doing it. But if you can, stand slowly and come to a standing posture. Before we go to the back of the chair, let's practice chair pose. So in chair pose, you bend your knees, keep your toes pointing forward, knees are level. Lift your torso, maybe hands at heart center, maybe forward. Slow, steady breaths here. Slowly stand. Take a big breath in and come back down into your chair. This time take one hand forward and the other back, maybe looking over that back arm. Slow, steady breaths. Inhale, hands to center and come the other way. And of course, if you get tired, you can always stand and then come back to the chair part of the pose. And everyone stand. Hands by your side, come to the back of the chair, and we'll practice mountain pose. Push into the floor with the ball and heel of each foot. Pull your shoulders back. Your knees are straight unless they hurt. Push into the floor with the four corners of your foot, the ball and the heel. Lift your toes to make sure you're not grasping. Put them down. Shoulder blades back and down, chin parallel to the floor. Look straight ahead at a drishti point or close your eyes looking within. Add slow yoga breaths and you're doing yoga. And you can do this anywhere you are when you need to calm yourself down, settle yourself. When you find yourself not breathing deeply because you're angry or upset, or the world is feeling a little too crazed, and this can center yourself. Finding balance even in the midst of chaos. Come to the back of your chair, holding on. Come back to mountain pose, except you're holding on. Lift one foot and see if you can look at something that's not moving and lift your hands, making it a balanced pose, sometimes called stork. Slow, steady breaths. And if you have to hold on every now and again, that's okay. And come to the other side. First, find your drishti point, slow your breath. Sometimes one side is much better than the other. Slowly come out of the pose. Holding on to the back of the chair, slowly walk your hands back. Maybe as far as having your arms straight, your hips over your ankles, maybe lowering your head so your ears are level with your elbow creases. Slow, steady breath, forward fold. Inhale and slowly come back up and come to the side of your chair, standing in mountain pose, and we'll do a sun salutation. So stand up tall. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, fold from your hips, softening your knees if that's more comfortable. Come to tabletop. In tabletop, your shoulders are over your wrists, your hips are over your ankles. On your next inhale, look up into cobra. Look down. On your next exhale, bend your arms and come to a forward fold, feeling the stretch in the back of your legs. Only going as far as you need to feel that stretch. Inhale and come back to tabletop. Exhale. Walk your feet back into downward facing dog, maybe going as far as having your arms straight, and maybe not. Slow, steady breaths. Inhale and on an exhale, walk forward. Inhale, stand, hands overhead, hands to heart center, mountain pose. Slow, steady breath, and we'll do it once more. This is a sun salutation. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, perhaps soften your knees and bend, coming into tabletop. Inhale, lift your gaze. Exhale, come to forward fold by bending your elbows. Inhale, back to tabletop. Exhale, walk your feet back into downward facing dog. Slow, steady breaths. Inhale, walk back to tabletop. Exhale, stand. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Mountain pose. Slow, steady breaths. We're going to come back to tabletop pose. And this time, we're going to inhale and lift our head and let our belly come down into cow. And then exhale into cat, feeling that nice stretch in your spine. And if this works for you, moving between cow and cat, now on a chair, standing by the chair. We did it on a chair. Let's just do 2 or 3 on each posture. And then come back to tabletop. Stand up, shake out your arms. Let's come back to tabletop. Take 1 foot to the back and maybe lifting that foot a lot or a little, keeping your shoulders over your wrists, only going as far as you need, maybe looking up. Lower that foot and come back, and let's try the other side. You can keep that foot on the mat or the floor if that feels better, or maybe lifting it a lot or a little, whatever you need on this side. Maybe looking up a little. Lower that foot and come back to mountain pose. Slow, steady breaths. Holding on to the chair, take 1 knee forward. Take the opposite foot out so that your hips are parallel to the side of the chair. Your knee is right over your ankle, the front leg, and come to your version of Warrior One. Slow, steady breaths. Always my favorite pose for NCJW because that organization fights with advocacy for peace, for human rights and civil rights and care of the earth. Never more precious than now. Bring your hands to heart center, hands to your hips. Look up and perhaps come forward just a little into humble warrior. Slow, steady breaths, maybe looking down. Inhale, come up and come to the other side. Knee over ankle, hips facing the side of the chair. Your back foot is a comfortable distance, whatever you need to make your stance stable. Maybe your hands are at heart center, or maybe they're lifted into the full pose. Look straight ahead and breathe. Inhale and send your breath down into the earth through your feet, up into the sky through your fingertips. And breathe. Bring your hands to your hips, maybe looking up a little as you come forward with a straight back, only a little, only as much as you need, and then maybe looking down into humble warrior. And slowly come back up and come back to mountain pose. 3 slow breaths here. Holding onto the chair, bring their first knee back, coming back into warrior one legs, but this time straighten that front knee. Look up, and on an exhale, come forward into pyramid pose, only going as far as you need. Slowly rise, reverse your legs. First, bending the knee to line up that foot with the knee, separating your feet so your hips are parallel to the side of the chair. Straighten that knee, maybe looking up as you bend from your hips and come into pyramid pose, your version. Only going as far as you need to feel a stretch in that front leg. Slowly coming back up and coming to mountain pose. 3 slow breaths, centering yourself. Take your hand to the back of the chair, setting up for warrior 2. So knee over ankle, this time turning your back foot so that it's perpendicular to the heel, and your hips are now facing me. If you've got your chair situated like this, but they're parallel to the front of your chair, lift your arms, maybe looking over the chair arm, the arm over the chair. Slow, steady breath. Now you're also sending breath fingertip to fingertip in 5 directions. Slow, steady breath. Make it fierce. Lower your back arm. Lift your front arm, maybe looking up into reverse warrior. Coming back to warrior 2. Take your back hand to your hip. Straighten that front knee. Make sure you're comfortable in your hips. Adjusting your feet any way you need, and only coming to the side if it feels good. Keep your back straight. Don't go any lower than you need. And then maybe you keep your hand on your hip. Maybe you're lifting it up. See what feels good. Maybe your bottom hand is up here. Listening to your body with kindness. Maybe you're looking a little bit up and opening your chest and your heart. Soften that front knee and slowly come up, hands to heart center, and I'm coming to the other side, so I can keep looking at you. Knee over ankle, feet separated so that your hips are parallel to the front of the chair. Lift your arms and come into warrior 2. Gaze over your front arm. Push into the outer edge of your back foot. And breathe. Maybe find a drishti point or a focal point in this direction. Slow, steady breaths. Lower your back hand, lift your front, maybe turning a little bit towards that lifted arm into reverse warrior. And coming back to warrior 2. Slow, steady breaths. Bring your back hand to your waist. Straighten that front knee. Make your hips comfortable, whatever that looks like for you. And with a straight back, come into triangle, your version. It may not be very different than standing, but if you're coming forward even a little and it feels like a nice stretch, then you're there. Maybe opening your chest a little. Slow, steady breaths. Your back hand is wherever it needs to be for comfort. Maybe lower that arm, soften that knee, and come to stand. Coming back to mountain pose. Slow, steady breaths. And come to the back of your chair, and we'll do some balancing poses. So holding on, come to your version of tree. Maybe your foot is still on the floor. Maybe it's lifted anywhere but on the knee. Keep holding on to your chair, or maybe after you find a drishti point and slow your breath, maybe lifting your hands and keeping them close to the chair. Maybe they're coming to your heart. Maybe one hand to your heart and one to the chair. Maybe you're keeping the foot on the mat and coming to a wide open tree. Maybe your tree is even waving in the wind because it has a strong base. Make the pose yours, whatever you need. Slowly come out of the pose and let's come to the other side. Your version on this side. Whatever you need. Oops. Slowly come out of the pose. Shake out your feet and we're going to do dancing tree. So in dancing tree, hold on and come to tree on one side and then the other. Keep your hands close, moving with your breath. Holding on when you need to. And come back to mountain pose. 3 slow breaths. Take hold of the chair and we're going to set up for eagle. Bend your knees. Take one leg over the other. Those are eagle legs. Lift your torso and come to eagle arms. Maybe you need to hold on, or maybe you can take your arms to your shoulders in front of you. Maybe you're crossing your hands on the chair, if that's what you need. Wherever your arms are comfortable and you feel that you're using a little bit of your balance. Whatever you need, and breathe. Pick that drishti point. And then when you're ready, stand up, maybe holding on, and let your eagle fly, and come to the other side. Your version, whatever you need on this side. Slow, steady breaths. Stand up, maybe let your eagle fly, and come back out of the pose. Coming to the side of the chair, holding the back of the chair, walk one foot back and maybe coming forward. This is sometimes called warrior 3. Maybe holding the bottom of the chair, maybe taking one arm forward. And slowly lifting and coming to the other side. Standing in mountain pose and bringing one leg back, maybe holding the back of the chair or maybe the bottom of the chair. Maybe letting one arm come forward. Slow, steady breaths. Lowering that hand and slowly standing and shaking out everything. Maybe doing a little hula hoop. shaking hands and feet. And then coming behind your chair and very slowly coming to a seat. Maybe shaking out things here. Inhale, look up. Maybe stretching your arms out back. Sitting up, reaching your hands up. Let's maybe wave from side to side, whatever feels good. Maybe crossing your fingers, pushing and twisting to one side. Breathing. Coming back to center, crossing your fingers the opposite way. Twisting to the other direction, letting your hands come down and breathe. And then coming back to center, maybe one last stretch coming forward again. Only going as far as feels good. And then coming back to your seat, this time pushing back and coming to a final resting posture. Make sure you're sitting symmetrically on the chair, chin parallel to the floor, still with a dignified back. Slow your breath. Imagine inhaling in calm, exhaling peace. Sitting here like a mountain with your eyes closed. Picture the strength of the mountain as it reaches into the earth with its rocky base, up into the sky with its peak. And sit here with the peacefulness of a mountain. Perhaps anchoring to your breath, you could be thinking to yourself, I'm inhaling as you inhale, exhaling as you exhale, or you could say in and out. If your mind wanders to things you wish you had done or need to do, or to anything, notice where it's gone, and with kindness bring your mind back to this breath, to this moment, and we'll come out of the pose together. Slow, steady breaths. Slowly begin to move your fingers and toes. Maybe take one total body stretch. And then bring your hands to heart center. for this final meditation. May each of us be safe and protected from harm. May we find joy each day in something small or large. May we be strong but not rigid. May we act with kindness. And may all of this lead us to a life lived in balance with equanimity and perhaps the ability to bring even just a little bit of peace into the world. And let us say to each other, Namaste and thank you.